Well, hello everybody. If you're new here, my name is Jeff Hubner, and on this channel we do everything pottery, and I also do lesson plans for teachers. Today we're going to be reviewing this sponge set from DiamondCore. It's $24. That's right, you heard me. This set of sponges from DiamondCore is $24. That's $8 a sponge. Who spends that much money on a sponge? Now, personally, I'm a keep it simple tool guy, and I think even sometimes these little yellow sponges that comes with the toolkits are too much, and you might be better off with getting a pack of these. For the same price as one of these sponges, you can get an entire pack of these, cut them into little pieces, cut 1 1/2 to wipe down your table and your pottery wheel, keep the rest to wash your boat and your car, and keep some of them to do some grout in your house, and still have a little bit left over. So why would anybody spend $24 on these? Is it worth it? Should you get it? And why the heck did I buy it? Now, DiamondCore did not send me these. They did not compensate me. They don't know that I'm making a video about these. My opinions here are 100% my own, and I'm going to be honest, I have not tried them, I have not opened them, I don't know anything about them yet. Now, why did I buy them? Well, because sometimes when you're trying to do something, the right tool can make every difference in the world. And in my process, I do Mishima. And this little pack of sponge right here from MudTools, which I absolutely love, is actually more than this set. This is $29. This is $24. And without this little tool, if I lose this little guy, it's white, and I use white porcelain, sometimes I lose this little guy and I go berserk looking for it in my studio, and I can't move on with my process without my little white sponge. So I thought I would try these out, and it's a different color you'll see, so it won't get lost with the porcelain. And if it does what this sponge does for cheaper, and it's easier to find because it's blue, purple, or black, not white, maybe it is worth the price. Let's find out. So in my classroom, I always equate sponges to sandpaper. If you've ever used sandpaper, you know they come in different grits. You start with a lower number grit, like a 40, and then you move up to an 80, and then a 120, and then a 220, and so on. The finer the finer the sandpaper, the less scratching will do, the less surface it will remove. And sponges and pottery are no different. A very brand new sponge like this has a big open pores, and it's like a 40 grit or a 20 grit. It takes a lot of material away quickly. And sometimes you don't want that. Sometimes you just want to take a little bit off the surface and do some fine removing of the surface. And that's where this white sponge is like gold. It takes just the smallest amount of the surface away from the pot. And that's what I like it for. I also like to use it to apply underglaze to my pots. So we're going to get into it, and we'll test these sponges out and see if it's worth the $24 and if you should get them. I'll just tell you right now, if you're just throwing pots, you probably don't need them unless you just want to treat yourself to something really nice. But if you're doing some decorating or some smoothing on some sculpture, or you're using a fine clay like a B-mix or a porcelain, then a nice set of sponges like this can be like gold. So even though I'm a simple tool guy, in fact, look at this. This is my sponge on a stick. It's literally a stick that I got in my backyard, and a sponge. And you'll notice that rubber band, if you use Laguna clay, that's the Laguna clay rubber band that comes with all of the clay that wrap around the garbage bag. So this is my sponge on the stick. Most tools that I use come directly from the toolkit that you get when your first class at the community center. So I'm not a fancy tool guy. So spending $24 on a sponge is a big spend for me. So let's get into it and see if these are worth the money and if you should get a pair yourself. A pair? I guess it's a trio of sponges for yourself. Let's check them out. Upon first inspection, these are a little stiffer than I would expect from a sponge, but could be possibly just because they haven't gotten wet yet. So let's tear it open. All right, we have the 3 different colors, and I'm looking at them right now, and I don't know if this shows up on camera, but we talked about earlier how you could equate sponges with sandpaper, and this one right here has significantly, hopefully that's in focus, has significantly bigger pores in it. So this would be a much coarser, and then this one looks like it's the middle grade. And then the blue one looks like it's the fine to me. Again, they're kind of stiff. So let's put them in some water and see how they do. Next thing I'm noticing is their shape. I do like this, how this is tapered right here. This seems like it would be awesome to get into cracks of something, give you a little less of a profile to get in between, let's say a sculpture you're building or something like that. So I think that's a good thing. It almost appears if they're meant to be held like this, where you could use them at an angle. I'm not quite sure. And I had no intention on making this a comparison video in between the MudTools ribs, but here we go again. Again, I just really like these tools, so why not compare it? Because these are really good. But these are kind of meant to be shaped like ribs. So a lot of people would be familiar with handling a rib. And I do like how these also have that really sharp part right here. Maybe even a little sharper, I would say, than the DiamondCore edge. So I think that's a plus for both of them. I put that in the water. Put this in the water, let that soak up. Okay, these have had a minute to soak here, and they're feeling very pliable, and they feel really good. This blue one, I can already tell I'm gonna really like this blue one. And the purple one soaked up quite a bit of water. It's actually kind of amazing on how much water they held. You can see here we got this little bowl of water. And let's just for fun throw these sponges in here. And so that's about this deep on my finger. And it's, 3-4 inches wide, full of water. So that soaked up that entire bowl of water. So they hold an incredible amount of water. I don't know that that matters, but if you're trying to mop out the water out from your bottom of your pots, these will do it. Let's throw the MudTools ones in there just for fun to see if they can soak up that same amount of water. All right, there's the blue one. This is, again, the coarse one, which corresponds to the purple one. And this white one corresponds to the blue one. We'll throw that in there. That one's soaked up big time. Plumped up quite a bit. And then the orange one, which is kind of your medium. And you can still see there's still some water left in there. I don't know if you can see that on camera or not, but there's definitely, and these were dripping when I pulled them out. So the DiamondCores definitely hold more water if that's important to you. I will say this, just again, I didn't mean this to be a comparison video, but I think if I was trying to get into details, like if I was a sculptor or something, these MudTools ones might get in tighter areas. And I think I do like the shape a little bit better on these. But these for sure feel, the DiamondCores feel more premium. They have a very dense material on them. This is what I would typically use a sponge for in my studio. Now this is greenware, this is porcelain greenware. And the way I work in I make the pots and then I let them dry for several weeks really slowly in a bin. And I don't really clean them up a whole lot because I found that it can cause some uneven dryness. So this has some finger marks on it from when I built the pot. And it has some marks on it, that I would just want to clean up a little bit. I want to polish this thing, get it perfect. So when a glaze goes on there, when I draw on there, it looks really good. So as I mentioned before, sometimes you want to remove more material, sometimes less. So this is where I would go in with the deeper pores on this and try to take more away, which I believe is this purple one. I honestly can't tell if it's the purple one or the black one. So here we go. We're gonna get this wet. I got my bucket right beside this. And the way this works is you get it wet, you squeeze most of the water out, and you go back and forth. And the more times you rinse the sponge out, the more times you flip it, the faster it's going to be, because the pores get clogged and then it acts less as sandpaper, and it'll just go a lot faster if you rinse your sponge out. So in the corner of the view, you can't see it, but I have a bucket of water. I'm just rinsing it out, and I'm going to flip it a little bit. So I'm noticing it's much less coarse than, let's say, that yellow grout sponge that I would typically use for this stage. So it takes a little bit more time to smooth it out, but it does work really nice and it leaves a nice surface. Let's try the black one. Let's see if that'll go a little faster. And I'm not 100% sure that the purple one is the coarse. I don't think it's said on the package. Does it say anything on the package? Doesn't really say anything. There is a QR code right there. You can pause and scan that if you want. I don't know what that says, but it says something. And then I'll get the bottom nice and smooth where I'd sign it. This is definitely not as fast as my yellow sponge. It's typically, again, I buy these sponges not for this step, but more for the decoration step. And I'll show you why in a little bit. All right, what we're gonna do with this mug is decorate it with the Mishima technique. We're gonna put some alligators on it. I absolutely love alligators. I like going out in nature and trying to find the alligators and just appreciating their beauty. Love seeing that back out of that water, the curve with the scoots on it. I just think alligators are one of the coolest animals around. So we're gonna draw an alligator on that. Now let me know in the comments if you wanna see more about how I decorate these. Love to make a couple decoration videos. So let me know in the comments if you wanna see more about how I do this, how I get my ideas, how I put them on the pots, and so on. It's kind of a cool process. All right. So we need some feet on here. Do the little tri-feet. Toes. Alligator toes. Needs a foot up in front. Now, some of you are probably thinking, that's definitely not the same mug you were just working on 2 seconds ago. And you're right, I totally broke the other one. I am clumsy as it comes. I just don't know what happened, but I totally broke it. Anyway, so I'm using Lug 1. This is my favorite thing to decorate. It is a nice, cool black underglaze. It's not a warm black like a lot of people like to use the velvet jet black, which is a warm black, and I don't think it looks as good as the cool black does. So things like the eyeballs, I like to just put a little black underglaze there instead of doing it with the Mishima technique, because with the Mishima technique, it's harder to fill in larger areas like this. So I'm just going to fill in the eyeballs. And then when we go to do the Mishima, we'll just skip over them because they're already black. Again, that's going to be a nice warm, cool black. Okay, not sponsored. Just here's the brand of wax I get. Artistic Industries, it says Laguna on it. Wax resist. Dilute if desired. I definitely dilute it. I put it in there quite a decent amount of water, so it's fairly runny. And that allows me to see through it. If you put it on too thick, you can't see through it. And you want to work quick. If you let this wax dry too long, it becomes like a candy shell, and you will not be able to carve through it. I found that out the hard way. So I'm just going to cover the entire thing here. And that is going on a little thick still. Even though I put a bunch of water in it, I'm going to put just a little bit more water in it. Again, I like to use a spray bottle. I don't know why. I just keep it handy all times. Just put a little bit more water in there. Just super handy. I don't have a sink in my studio, so my spray bottle is kind of like my lifeline here. I can still see through it, but I can just tell it's too thick. It thins out. I have a it's Florida. It's hot. It's humid. I run a dehumidifier in here, so things dry out kind of quick. But again, you want it fairly thin. All you needed to do is to resist the underglaze. Then I blot it with the paper towel, just so I can start working on it right away. I don't have to wait for the wax to dry if there's any little bubbles. This is very delicate up close work. And because of that, I have to look right at it, and I might not be able to see the camera, so I'm gonna try to keep it in frame, but if I go outside, I'm gonna apologize. This is a WS tool. So I'm just gonna carve through the wax layer. Now, because I have this wax on here, I can just be kind of sloppy. And I have my black underglaze. I'm just gonna paint it on there, make sure it gets in all those little cracks I just carved out. Makes them come to life, doesn't it? Okay, this is where we have ours coated now with the black underglaze. This is where the magic of the sponge happens. So let's test it out. Again, with the MudTools one, again, I didn't mean this to be a comparison, but it's turning out to be. On the MudTools one, I used the white, which is the very fine one. This works amazing. Could not be more pleased with this tool. It's a total rock star tool. But I think it's gonna be equivalent to this blue one. So we're gonna rinse this out. It's got some clay in it right now. And this is where, if this works, it shouldn't pull the black out. We only wanna take off enough material to get the black off and not remove any of the clay. So, seems like it works pretty darn perfect. So we pulled away the black material off the surface, but didn't remove any of the clay. Oh, I missed a part right there. So if that happens to you, if you miss a part, I found it's really important. Now, because it's going to be saturated with water already, just carve that in. Okay, that's saturated with water already. If I go and wipe that right away, it will wipe away the wax. So I'm just going to let that dry for a second. I missed a little spot right there. I like how big and fluffy this is. It's easy to squeeze out the water. Believe it or not, my hand does get tired from squeezing off the water after a while. All right, that's had long enough to dry. It should be good. So that came off really nice and clean. So that comes off clean, clean, clean. So this sponge is definitely going to work for what I need it to. And I'd like to show you why I even have to go through all this. I'm going to use a sponge that doesn't work. So this is the pot I broke earlier. And I want to show you why I go through the trouble of even caring about these sponges. So there's that. And on this side, I use this brand new DiamondCore on this side. And you can see how it wipes away the black underglaze without on the surface, but not in the crack. So that's why a good sponge is so important. Watch, this is just a grout sponge that I cut, and you can see the pores are much bigger. Watch what happens when I use this sponge. And this took me forever to figure out. I like Mishima so much that I decided to do it with my high school students. And we had all brand new grout sponges, and my high school students just could not do it. They were having so much problems with it, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I figured out it was the sponges. So when you take this and wipe it away, you can see it wiped it out of the crack right there. So it's no longer inlay, it just pulls it right out. So that's why it's so important to have one of these fine textured sponges, because it takes off the wax surface without being so coarse that it pulls it out of the groove. And that is why, in my opinion, this is worth every bit of the $24, because that would be about as frustrating as it can get, and it wouldn't look very good, and it would just take up a lot of time. This saves you so much time, and of course time you can spend on other things like going to look for alligators. Okay, final thoughts. Should you get one? Did I like it? Would I get it again? All those good things. Yes, I liked it. It did the job I needed it to do that a less expensive sponge couldn't. It saves me so much time. I don't have to remake my pots. I don't have to be frustrated with the drawing. It does exactly what I need it to do. So if it was $100 a sponge, I still need it and I would buy it. So price point, it does what it can do. It allows me to do what I need it to do and what no other sponge could. So it's 100% worth it. Couple things to think about, even if you're not doing Mishima, it would also be really good for smoothing porcelain and B-mix. Terrible for stoneware. If it's in that bone dry stage, it's going to pull up the grog, and you probably don't ever want to sponge a stoneware piece. It'll just pull up all that grog and make it really rough, unless you're trying to make something rough. So I wouldn't recommend it for people using stoneware. Just stick with this regular sponge for throwing. But if you like something luxury, and then it's probably pretty good. If you just want something nice and you can afford it, go for it. It occurs to me, I was at the store the other day, and there's these makeup sponges that look like they're the same material. And I would have bought one, but they had them in lock cage, and I really didn't feel like confident enough to go up to the clerk and go, hey, can you unlock the cage? I need some makeup sponges, because I just wasn't comfortable doing it. But they were much cheaper, and I feel like they're pretty close to the same sponge, and it might do the same thing. However, these are small companies that support ceramic artists, that are made of ceramic artists, and I do think that means a lot. And so I have no problem spending a little bit extra to support some people that support the community. MudTools, for example, they recently just had their entire facility flooded by the hurricane, and I thought this was the coolest thing. One of my students came in, we just had the last day of school a couple weeks ago, and he came in very excited. He was graduating, and MudTools had sent him a graduation card with a sponge in it. How cool is that? You're not going to get that from the Amazon company sending sponges on Amazon for real cheap. So I think it's important to support those ones that support us, that are part of our community, that are other potters just trying to make some tools that really help us out. So I think these are really good sponges. Are they better than the MudTools? I'd say they're about the same. I like them both. I'm probably going to buy another set of the MudTools just because I thought it was just so cool that they sent my student the grad card. So I really want to support them, but these seem like really good sponges, and I think they're both good. I think they're worth the $24. So that's my conclusion. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out this video right here, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.